It's been a really, really exciting day. And for those of you who are early in your career, I just want to say, there's a little bit of a layer of uncertainty. There's an awful lot of opportunity. There's a lot of change. And as someone who started their career 30 years ago working on what was called climate change, I think we might have called it global warming then, it's a very resilient area to work. I mean, there's tons to do. It turns out it's so complicated. As you've heard all day, it's very complicated. It's going to require such a diverse set of skills to solve this problem. And it's going to require women, because women do inherently, we are multitaskers. We think we are interdisciplinary thinkers. We love to communicate, most of us. That's a total generalization, but many of us are pretty good at that. And then the other thing is that, if you like learning, you're learning all the time. So I've been 30 years in the same company, actually. Got my master's while I was working because I was never not learning. I was so curious, and there were so many things to do. So anyway, I just want to say that you should be uplifted by this conversation. There's so many areas for you to engage, and I think that research and how you apply that research, which is the award that I'm going to be giving, that's so important because it's not just about the research alone, in the silo. I think that's part of the problem. The research has to get from that silo into the hands of the people who can use it and who can really implement it across. So, when I started working, we worked on Montreal Protocol, and one of the reasons we were able to solve stratospheric ozone depletion was because there were companies that were going to be able to succeed if they could solve that problem with us. So how we think about the solutions to climate have to be, they have to harness that commercial side as well as all the research and the science. So anyway, I'm grateful to be an ambassador for C3E. I'm so grateful to be with all of you and humbled. And when you hear what Johanna Mathieu has been up to, you'll realize why her research was selected in this category. So Johanna Mathieu is an associate professor of electrical and computer engineering at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. She's also serving as the interim director of the University of Michigan's Institute for Energy Solutions. And prior to joining University of Michigan, she was a postdoctoral researcher at the Power Systems Laboratory at ETH in Zurich. Mathieu's research focuses on using new operational and control strategies to reduce the environmental impact, the cost, and the inefficiencies of existing power systems. And I think that given all the conversations we've had about affordability, what could be more important in an age of steep load growth, pressure on affordability, and this imperative to do so in a low-carbon way? So Johanna develops new methods to actively engage distributed flexible resources such as energy storage, electric loads, and renewable energy sources in power system operations. And as they wrote in her nomination form, this research is enabling power systems to integrate higher penetrations of intermittent renewable energy resources. Her multidisciplinary approach to these problems combines methods from a variety of fields, including control systems and optimization. Her work seeks to inform and influence energy policy from an engineering perspective, spanning theory to application. She is just as comfortable developing chance-constrained optimization theory as she is working with technicians at University of Michigan's facilities. Through her collaborations with national labs, nonprofits, and industry, her research is having practical impacts. She has led or co-led 2 high-profile projects, one on University of Michigan's campus and another in residential air conditioners on a field test site in Texas. The latter earned a 2023 R&D 100 award and 2 special recognitions. Gold for the market disruptor/services category, and silver for corporate social responsibility. She's currently working with the Michigan Public Services Commission on proposals to address DER integration challenges in Michigan. She's also the recipient of several other awards, the 2023 IEEE Power and Energy Society Wanda Reader Pioneer in Power Award, say it 3 times fast, the 2021 University of Michigan Henry Russell Award, which is their most prestigious award, a 2019 National Science Foundation Career Award, and the 2018 University of Michigan Ernest and Bettine Koo Distinguished Faculty Award. So Matthew holds a PhD and a master's in mechanical engineering from the University of California, Berkeley, and a BS in ocean engineering from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And she acts as an electrical engineer in her day job. So it's my great pleasure to announce her as the 2024 recipient of the C3E Award for Fundamental and Applied Research. So congratulations, Johanna.
I'm absolutely honored to be here and to be welcomed into this community. I wanted to thank the DOE, Stanford, ASU, MIT, all the sponsors and the ambassadors who have been so incredibly welcoming. It's amazing to meet you all. I also wanted to congratulate all the other award winners. It's also been fun to chat with you all. So I want to talk a little bit about how I got here. My students often ask me, how did you end up where you are in life? And I tell them there's one strategy to be very strategic, to pick your goals, to plan out your path, and then choose everything to best align with those goals that you set out. And then there's another strategy to be open to opportunities, to create opportunities, explore, see where life leads you. This is actually very similar to Jennifer's comments. She gave the first talk this morning. And I've generally followed that latter strategy where I've just been open to exploring new things and being kind of pushed in different directions, trying new things. I actually feel like my life is somewhat like a character in a computer game, the computer games I used to play when I was in middle and high school. Do you remember those games where you would start the game and you had to like explore a world and pick up different things because they might be useful later? And you would just move around this space picking up things. As an example, maybe you needed to make sure that by the time you're trapped in a dungeon and you had to escape, you've already picked up that special bobby pin so you could turn it into a key and get yourself out. So I feel like my life has been about picking up things and then piecing them together. So I've picked up lots of things. My father was in the Coast Guard. I grew up in Maine. And I picked up a love of the ocean, so I studied ocean engineering at MIT. And then at MIT, I did a capstone design project on wave energy harvesting, which made me become passionate about working in renewable energy, so that's where I picked up that interest. After MIT, I was very burnt out. I joined the Peace Corps, and I went to Tanzania, and there I picked up a strong interest in social justice. I went to Berkeley for my PhD and picked up further experiences working in developing countries, but also skills in engineering control systems and mechanical engineering, and an interest in demand response, especially through my collaborations with folks at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. And then I went to Switzerland for my postdoc, and this part was perhaps a little bit more strategic because I realized I really wanted to learn electric power systems so I could contribute to the energy transition. And then that eventually led me to Michigan, where I work on sustainable electric power systems, distributed energy resources, demand response, and energy justice. But that's not the whole story, because if you think back to those computer games we all used to play, or maybe many of us used to play, where you move around these spaces picking up things, you also encounter people in these worlds. And if you remember from a while ago, when you encounter these people, you have to tap on them, and you tap on them, and then like a text box pops up, and it tells you something that might or might not be useful, and maybe moves you to think about exploring a different part of the world or using something that you've picked up. In my life, of course, I've encountered a lot of people who have pushed me and giving me these text boxes of advice, and all of these things have sort of pieced everything together to push me in the directions I went in. So I wanted to thank my PhD advisors, Duncan Calloway and Ashok Gadgil, and my postdoc advisor, Jorn Anderson, who gave me immeasurable support and sort of like, they are the reason I am standing here today, and I still am very close to all of them. And I wanted to also thank Scylla Kilikote. So Scylla is a 2014 winner of this very award. She's the reason I knew about these awards. She's been one of the best role models and mentors and advocates for me in my life. She's taught me how cool demand response is and got me interested into the field that I work in. And also when I was nearing graduation with my PhD, she just told me, we were at some seminar, and she was like whispering in my ear, hey, like, you're graduating. If I was in your shoes, if I could do anything right now, I would go to Europe and learn how Europe is doing the energy transition. I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. So that's how I ended up in Switzerland. So if you think about that, maybe she was like the text box of advice that told me to turn that bobby pin into the key, and then that unlocked everything. So she's been amazing, and I love how that's all part of this community. But just a few more people to mention. Ian Hiskins was my nominator for this award and my main mentor and advocate at Michigan. He gave me a lot of text boxes of advice. And I wouldn't be here without my PhD students and postdocs who have taught me so much, probably more than I ever taught them. I've benefited enormously from a small community of women in my field. The electric power system field is very male-dominated, but there's been a small group of folks where we help each other, keep each other sane, et cetera, including Maria Illich, Lena Rold, Kyrie Baker, Gabriella Hoog, and Lindsay Anderson. And lastly, I want to acknowledge the incredible support I have gotten from my family, especially my husband, Ken, and my 7-year-old daughter, Andy. So Andy is in 2nd grade, and she loves to give me advice via her own version of a text box, and it's usually something like, "Mommy, play with me," or "Mommy, no working on the weekend." And that type of advice is also really important to maintain a good work-life balance. So with that, I'll stop, and again, thank you so much for this honor.